this edition of GamePro TV, we'll give you your first look at a couple of Nintendo 64 games, take you behind the scenes of Big Hurt Baseball, and see if Konami's got what it takes to win the gold in their latest game, International Track and Field. But first, since this is our first show, we thought it might be a good idea to explain to you what we're all about. Almost 20 years ago, Pong was the only home video game around. That was then, this is now. The video game market has grown up, producing games with incredible graphics, high production budgets, and enhanced gaming capabilities. Some games suck, some games are awesome. And before you plug down your cash, we'll tell you which ones are which. We'll show you the fighting games, the action games, the racing games, and since we're on the sports channel, of course, we're going to give you as much slam dunking, hard-hitting, high-flying, out-of-the-park sports coverage as we can cram into a show. Plus, we'll give you tips and strategies in our SWAT Pro segment, and even show you how some of your favorite games are made. Games have come a long way since the days of Pong, and are poised to even go further. Here at GamePro TV, we'll keep you up to date every step of the way. All right, now let's talk about pain. The kind of pain you feel after a full swing knuckle slap or a knee check to the face. Virtua Fighter 2 epitomizes how far home video games have come. You have the ability to play with 10 different characters, each with their own unique style of fighting. There's Whoop Hawkfield, who looks like he fell straight out of a wrestling ring. Or you can try Cage with his ninja assassin techniques, with over 30 attacks to master. In fact, all of the characters average over 30 attacks, and mastering one fighter alone will be enough to keep you busy for a while. There's no other genre of gaming that's more saturated than the fighting genre. But if you only want to buy the best one, you've got to buy Virtua Fighter 2. Flat out, it's the best fighting game ever made. The fighters are deep in their abilities and diverse in their characteristics.
I win!
And unlike some of the other fighting games on the market, there are no magic fireballs and deadly swords to use. Virtua Fighter 2 relies on realistic, hand-to-hand combat. Everything about the game screams classic. The graphics are incredible, the sound is believable, and the control is absolutely idiot-proof. Bottom line, if you own a Sega Saturn, you've got to have Virtua Fighter 2.
Ora, ora, ora!
Gone are the days when a big-time ball player like Frank Thomas could simply put their names on a home baseball game and expect to sell it. Nowadays, savvy video gamers want to see the stars get more involved. Well, you don't get more involved than this. This is Acclaim's motion capture studio, where Frank helped with the making of his very own baseball game. Motion capturing is a technology used to record the actual movement of a living character to translate directly into the game.
Because it's in 3 dimensions, it allows you to change the camera view. So now we can get some of the same benefits that Hollywood has always used to create a more interesting scene, but we can do this in real time in these new platforms to where this cinematic touch can change the whole way that we've played games in the past.
The designers at Acclaim had Frank slip into something a little bit uncomfortable. A specially designed suit with sensors placed strategically all over his body in order to record his every muscle twitch, including the Big Hurt's big trot.
What we're dealing with here is the complete package. We have the Big Hurt. We have the best ball player going right now. And besides that, he's a video game fan. So not only is he the license, but he's also helping us design the game. He's helping us create and add the baseball flavor to it. We've got technology that hasn't been used before. The motion capture that we're working with will give us a visual result at the end that game players haven't seen in the past. And in addition to that, we've got the game of baseball.
The goal is to give you the most realistic baseball experience imaginable. Well, let's see if they were able to pull it off. Baseball may be one of the most diverse sports to translate to a video game. Designers can go the route of creating a hardcore, statistic-heavy simulation, or they can go the other route and have everyone smashing the ball out of the park on a constant basis. A good game tries to combine both, and that was Acclaim's goal with Big Hurt Baseball. Frank Thomas isn't the only stud available in this game. Equipped with the blessing of the Major League Players Association, Big Hurt's got all the other big guys. For instance, Albert Bell, Ken Griffey Jr., and pitchers like Greg Maddux, who like all the other hurlers in the game suffer from fatigue as the innings wear on. The control in Big Hurt Baseball is fairly easy to understand. When you're on the mound, there are 8 basic pitches to choose from. And when you're at the plate, you can do everything from bunting to aiming for the gates with a hefty swing. Big Hurt also throws in a few other play modes, like the Home Run Derby, where 10 players compete against each other in a 3-round slugfest to see who can knock the ball out the park the most. And there's also a quick play mode, where 1 strikes and out. Overall, Big Hurt Baseball steps up to the plate and delivers. And though it doesn't smash the ball out of the park, it's still a pretty enjoyable game to play. When we come back, we'll take a look at what your local arcade will look like in the future, and we'll give you helpful hints on how to become the #1 tennis player in the world in Acclaim's V-Tennis. If you love video games, you need GamePro magazine. Each monthly issue is packed full of tips and tactics, reviews, previews, secret codes, hot news, passwords, game-winning strategy guides, next-generation game systems, and home PC games, plus regular features on sports, role-playing, and fighting games. Call GamePro's Hot Tips hotline at 1-900-860-TIPS. Visit GamePro on the World Wide Web or America Online at keyword GamePro. GamePro, the #1 multi-platform gaming magazine. Pick one up wherever magazines are sold.
There's never been a game like Sega Saturn's Knights. Never been a game that's allowed you to fly, fluid and free, in real-time 3D. Never, not anywhere. But especially not on that other system. Simply because, with only one processor, it doesn't have the power to do it. Fly, plaything, fly. You're not ready.
Stay up! For years, the video arcade was a dominant force in the video game industry. If you wanted to experience awesome graphics, 3D animation, and superb gameplay, there was only one place to find it, until now. Now you can have all that right at home without spending a single token. So the question is, what will the arcade industry do to stay ahead of the game?
3, 2, 1, translocation, mark!
Into virtual world.
We offer 2 multiplayer virtual reality games, okay? So up to 8 players at one time can compete or interact with each other in the 2 virtual reality games that we offer.
Players have the choice of racing through the mine canals of Mars in Red Planet, or battling each other with 30-foot walking tanks in Battletech.
But the cool thing is each pilot, and up to 8 pilots, is each actually piloting and controlling their own vehicle. He's got a throttle and a joystick controlling the steering, up and down motion. He's got the weapons, he's got the rocket boosters, okay? And like I said, he is actually controlling his vehicle, and so are the other pilots that he sees on his screen. The scenario behind it is basically Mars has become a slave labor colony. And at night, we hold these races to try and determine who gets their freedom. So if you win the race, come out with the highest score, you get your freedom. Everybody else dies. What you're seeing right now is Battletech. It's our combat game, where each person is actually piloting and controlling a 4-story humanoid robot. Now my objective is to destroy that opponent before he destroys me. Got a secondary screen, which is a 360-degree radar that shows me exactly where he is, okay, in relation to everything else. And like I said, just like Red Planet, this is a multiple of up to 8 players. So you can imagine what it's like, 8 guys running around in their own robots trying to blow each other up.
This is one of the best immersions in a virtual environment I've seen. Just a quantum leap above anything you can play at home.
You get a major adrenaline rush, and it's also, if it makes sense, a stress-relieving activity at the same time, because you can take out your frustrations on your opponents. So it's like good combat fun.
It always is better to play against a human opponent rather than a, like a droid or artificial intelligence controlled opponent.
It gives a chance for the people to interact. It's a place for them to come, meet new people, experience new things, and you can see from the graphics and everything, this is the best there is.
Virtual reality centers may be the wave of the future, but to many, the local arcade is still the main place to hang. For a handful of tokens, a player has virtually every type of video game at his or her disposal. And although many gamers have the latest systems at home, nothing compares to hitting the arcade.
There's more of a variety here. You get to play a lot more games, and stuff like that. And so there's like a lot of games here that's not on home system that I like playing.
There's a game here I wouldn't play at home. It's not going to be the same. Like like Street Fighter games and stuff. I mean, they don't compare like to arcade and to home version.
I come in here all the time and it's always packed. So they're doing pretty good, I guess. I mean, everyone I know has got a home system. Everybody in here has probably got more than one, you know, so, but they still come out. Can't play pinball at home.
The arcade market basically drives the home market, and the competition really doesn't lie anywhere with home market and video arcade, because the only thing that the home games offer are just the graphics. The video arcade offers the competition, offers the atmosphere, offers a challenge, the whole game itself, challenges of other new players.
So whether it be at home in virtual reality or down the street, the video game industry is still the #1 entertainment business to date.
What they come up with nowadays is something else.
In Acclaim's V-Tennis, you choose from 16 players, 8 men, 8 women, all with different strengths and weaknesses. One of those characters is a bandana-wearing, Andre Agassi-type character named Falls. We're gonna show you how to make him the best player in the world. Falls' strength is playing close to the net. If you're not pushing him into your opponent's face, you're not utilizing his skills. Rush to the net and hit the triangle button to volleyballs with lots of top spin. It'll be a forehand or a backhand based upon the direction you point the directional pad. Either way, it'll be a tough shot for your opponent to contend with. He has the deadliest forehand and backhand in the game. Overall, Falls is probably the most well-rounded player. He's got good foot speed and pretty impressive power. If you choose to play tournament mode, he may be the best one to win you the title. Hey, is that a Nike logo on his bandana? Stay with us. Your first look at the long-awaited Nintendo 64 game is next.
Minnesota Twins Brad Radke. Last season, he struck out 75 batters, pitched 2 complete games, and gave up 32 home runs.
Chihuahua! Chihuahua! Chihuahua!
All new stats, all 28 ballparks. Sega Sports World Series Baseball 2. Authentic as Wrigley, real as Radke.
Chihuahua! Stinger!
City of Hope. Join us in touching the lives of millions. Call 1-800-260-HOPE.
A woman's place is in the home. Doing the dishes is a woman's job.
Heading down the middle, dishes off to Stevens for 2!
Women don't know how to drive. Women don't know how to play the game. Support the Women's Sports Foundation.
Capcom's Resident Evil defies typical genre description. It's more than an action game. It's also a puzzle game. But it's more than a puzzle game. It's also an adventure game. And it's more than all of the above. It's a great game. In fact, it may be one of the greatest action puzzle adventure games ever made. In Resident Evil, you'll choose from 2 different characters, Chris Redfield, the star's Alpha Team marksman, and Jill Valentine, the team's machine and lockpick expert. The goal is to explore a mansion teeming with undead soldiers and find out what happened to the star's Bravo team that disappeared in action.
There is 3 minutes until explosion.
And if that weren't enough, you also gotta get to the root of the Resident Evil that dwells within the haunted house. Sound eerie enough? Well, if it isn't, the horror-style camera angles should darken the mood even more. Plus, the creepy music will have you looking over your shoulder while you play. Throughout the game, your character adds a number of weapons to assist in getting through the adventure. Watching the results of some of your firepower is almost as fun as playing the game itself. Bottom line, Capcom may have created a whole new gaming genre with Resident Evil. There's simply no other game it compares to. Not only is it fun to play, but Resident Evil is a true testament to the power of next-generation gaming and has snatched the honor of becoming an instant classic. But one bit of advice, don't play it with the lights out. The Nintendo 64 is scheduled to hit shelves in the US on September 30th, but in Japan, June 23rd was a big day. Nintendo blitzed Japanese stores with 300,000 units on the first day. But most of these guys standing in line were pretty much out of luck because the machines were sold mostly on a reservation basis.
We expect to sell all the 64s we have in stock on the first day. Besides the many 64s we will have available to sell on the 23rd, we've been accepting reservations since the 14th, and I think we will sell the reservations out today.
Some customers have been camped out in front of the store since they closed the night before. The 300,000 units were gone after the first day. 3 days later, 200,000 units were shipped out, and they flew out the stores just as fast. Here in the US, retailers are set for the September 30th launch. And like Japan, most units can only be purchased by reservation.
What we're offering right now is a pre-sale for the Nintendo 64 system. You put down $25, and that will guarantee you a Nintendo system. Also, it doesn't come with a game, so we're also offering the game that'll come with it for a $10 pre-sale.
The Nintendo 64 is scheduled to be released at a $250 price tag. As a result, Sony and Sega have slashed their prices in order to compete.
Once they sliced their prices, sales just took off.
Actually, the Sony and Saturn both dropped their prices within the expectation of the N64. It's been a boost as far as both systems. Sony still outsells Sega 4-1, but by Nintendo dropping their system to $199, Nintendo has actually picked up a lot of people with interest, which is something that was hard to do at $249 with no packing.
So the question is, will we see lines like this in the States?
It won't be as big as it was in Japan, but there'll be a lot of people here looking for it.
If we're lucky, we'll get the lines backed up around the corners, but I don't think that'll happen. But I guarantee the same area that we're standing in will be crowded come September 30th.
But let's take a look now at what the hoopla is all about. The 64 will be the new home of the world's most popular plumber, and never has he looked so good. The Nintendo 64 really struts its stuff with Super Mario 64. The animation is more lifelike and fluid than anything ever seen in the home system, with colors and complex backgrounds that explode all over your screen. No longer is Mario restricted to moving from left to right or vice versa. In Mario 64, he can move and explore anywhere he wants, which brings you, the player, much further into his enormous world. There will be 25 worlds to explore, adding up to hours and hours of game time. Super Mario 64 hasn't been released yet, and it's probably already the leading candidate for the video game of the year. Mario 64 hits the shelves at the end of the month. Another Nintendo 64 game will be the latest from LucasArts, Star Wars: Shadows of the Empire. This Star Wars adventure takes place between The Empire Strikes Back and The Return of the Jedi, and looks to have all the action and adventure Star Wars fans are used to. The perspective changes throughout the game from fighter pilot points of view to a first-person Doom style. Shadows of the Empire will be available September 30th. When the Super NES was released years ago, Pilot Wings hit the shelves the same day. In keeping with tradition, Nintendo intends to do the same with Pilot Wings 64. Pilot Wings is basically a flight simulator in which you fly 3 different aircraft, the gyrocopter, a hang glider, and a rocket pad over and above 27 different courses. Pilot Wings won't knock you over with fast-paced arcade action, but will give you a true sense of flight through a number of beautifully rendered worlds. Pilot Wings will be available the day the video game industry has waited years for, September 30th, the release date of the Nintendo 64. So you've been saving civilization from the forces of the evil Krill Empire. Yeah, hitting them where it counts, showing off some of your best skills in the heat of extreme battle. A one-man army. But unfortunately, you can't even get past the gauntlet level. What kind of hero are you anyway? Just go to the special access window and hit triangle X, triangle, square, circle, X, circle, circle, and head off to Stormland, the final level of the game. If you thought the gauntlet was tough, wait until you see the nightmare waiting for you on this dark and stormy night. Again, it's triangle X, triangle, square, circle, X, circle, circle. Good luck.
This isn't just a gym. Look at what it does. It changes lives. This isn't just a coach. This coach helps build muscles, self-esteem. This isn't just a ball. It improves concentration, teamwork. This isn't just a sport. It's the way we train for life.
Sports Foundation, championing women in sports. Call and see how far you can go.
When I was young, I discovered music and practiced to become a musician. Later, I joined the Navy and became an officer and learned about discipline and teamwork and doing your best. Then playing pro ball, the dream of a lifetime. These are the things I love. These are my choices. But none of them would have come true if I hadn't made an important decision a long time ago. I don't do drugs. That's what's worked for me. Think about it.
Hey, tell us what you think of the show. Write us at GamePro Magazine, Dear Editor, P.O. Box 5828, San Mateo, California, 94402, or email us through America Online. You feel your legs propelling you to move faster as the crowd cheers louder. You want to jump higher. You want to swim faster. You want to throw further. Who will be the best in the world? Well, it won't be you unless you get a lot of practice. This is Konami's hit, International Track and Field, one of the most addictive games available on the Sony PlayStation. Track and Field allows you to compete in 11 events representing several different countries. Each sport forces you to qualify a certain speed with the racing events, a certain distance in the throwing events, and simply doing that could take a lot of time. If you do qualify, then you can go after the world record in that event. Every event calls for a different technique in order to be successful. For example, in the 100-meter dash, you pretty much tap the run buttons as frantically as you can to run as fast as you can. Some of the other events are a little trickier. With the hammer toss, you have to hit the run button for a while and then hit the throw button. Getting the timing down will take a little while, but it's best to use the game's practice mode before trying to compete for real. Track and Field is a great game to play by yourself, but when you hook up with 3 other friends, the game reaches another level of excitement. Konami's Track and Field comes right off the success of this year's Olympics and does a good job of capturing the feel of going for the gold. If you're a fan of Track and Field, this is definitely the game to get a hold of.
Congratulations, you are the winner.
Well, that's all the time we have for our first show. Check your local listings to find out when this one replays. In October's edition, we'll review Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings. Also, we'll give you the latest tips and hints, and much, much more. Until then, play on.
This is Sports Channel.
If you love video games, you need GamePro Magazine. Each monthly issue is packed full of tips and tactics, reviews, previews, secret codes, hot news, passwords, game-winning strategy guides, next-generation game systems, and home PC games. Plus regular features on sports, role-playing, and fighting games. Call GamePro's Hot Tips hotline at 1-900-860-TIPS. Visit GamePro on the World Wide Web or America Online at keyword GamePro. GamePro, the #1 multi-platform gaming magazine. Pick one up wherever magazines are sold.